Hello everyone, this is Gary with your cards of the day, and before I turn to the cards today, I just want to relate the numerological influences today because we have a day 19-1, and that equates to the cards of the Sun, also the Wheel, the Magician, which is the card 1, and because 19 reduces to 10, we also have the Fool, which is the 0 card. And we really do have a day of, in a sense, new things, new potential, new beginnings perhaps, and of the sort of shifting of the cycles, which is the sort of the wheel turning. With the Magician, obviously we have an influence of kind of making the day ourselves to some extent. So it's a real mix between the things we can't influence because we have the wheel turning, and the things that we can influence through the powers of the Magician. And one last point before I turn to the cards is that today really does feel a bit of a grind, in fairness. This could potentially just be me, but my feeling very much is that, today really is a bit of a slog. It's a bit of a grind. The wheel is almost becoming a sort of millstone, and it's grinding out things today. So let's turn to the cards and see what advice and guidance we get from those. And I've chosen 3 decks today. We have the Universal Weight, we have the Robin Wood Tarot, and we have the Shaman Caselli Tarot. So we've got 3 very traditional Rider-Waite Coleman Smith style decks. And our first card today is the 6 of Cups. And this, to me, really, what is being hammered home to me as soon as I saw this card today is retrogrades. We are absolutely snidered with them at the moment. We've had Venus in retrograde, we've had Saturn in retrograde, we're about to have Mercury in retrograde. We are up to our eyeballs in retrogrades at the moment. And frankly, it feels like it's playing havoc. It's certainly playing havoc with me. So this really does speak of looking at the past, reminiscing. This can be, it's kind of a double negative in some ways, because this feels like we can either be looking at the past as being some brilliant, wondrous thing that we have lost, and we're looking back at happier times, we're looking back perhaps at childhood or adolescence or early adulthood, and really just, in a sense, missing those things. And I know that is an experience I'm having a lot today. Really just looking back and longing for things being the way they were when things... It almost reminds me of that George Harrison song, When We Were Fab. And that's kind of what this feels like. It feels like looking back at the past, looking back at how things used to be and thinking, if only. But the other side of the negative, because as I say, we really have a double tails coin with this, is actually looking back at our mistakes, looking back at the things that went wrong, and regretting those. And to be fair, neither of those 2 approaches are particularly useful. But in some respects, they are the sort of the characteristics of retrogrades. Venus, Saturn, and Mercury. Love, limitations, communication. All of those things in reverse, forcing us to look backwards. So that really is very strongly the feeling I get from this card today. Now I'm going to do something I have never done before, which is to turn 2 cards over simultaneously, and you will see why. I think this is possibly the very first time I have ever had this happen. We have 2 cards in 2 different decks It's not the first time I've had it happen, but it's the first time I've had it happen on camera. 2 different cards, 2 different decks, 78 cards in each deck, and we have the same card. We have the card of Strength. And if I just bring these up so you can see them a little better. There we are. 2 cards of Strength. Interestingly, I actually started this reading once before today, and frankly was so depressed by what I saw that I ended up scrapping that and redoing it. And we had a double card there as well, which really also spoke of the sort of the grind and the emotional turmoil of today, which was another reason that I had that very, very strong feeling. But we had, again, a double card. And in that instance, the decks that it doubled out of were the Universal Weight and the Shaman Caselli. Here, we've got the Robin Wood and the Shaman Caselli doubling up with Strength. The feeling this gives me very, very strongly, we have a Leonine influence, we have a Sun influence, we have a day 1, 19-1. 19 is the card of the Sun. We have that reflected here. So what we are seeing with this very much is advice, in a way, guidance. It's going to be a day of trying to stay as strong internally as we possibly can. I don't think today we're going to be in a position to be particularly externally strong. It's not something that we're going to be able to put an external influence on. It's going to be a case of working on ourselves internally today. Try to stay optimistic if at all possible. The Sun is an extremely optimistic influence to my way of thinking. It can sometimes be almost too much, you know, and it can be, it starts to get to a point very much like if you're in the sunlight too much, you start to burn. The Sun's influence can do the same, I find, and too much of that just pure light really does start to burn and start to, in a sense, get on your nerves after a while. It's almost like being in a room and you're really not feeling terribly happy with yourself or terribly contented, and you know, you're in a room full of people who are laughing and joking and frankly delirious. And after a while, it really does start to get to you because you don't feel the way they feel. And in a sense, you have to honour the way you feel. So, you know, too much of that sort of delirium, that sun's light can really start to, you know, get on your wick a little bit. But here, we do need to try to stay a little bit positive. Try to look at good things today as much as we possibly can. Stay strong and determined inside, and in a sense lion-hearted. Really, this really is making my solar plexus chakra ache, to be honest. But I think it is something that we need to address and look at. And we do have a lot of green as well in both of these cards, which again is heart chakra. So but this doesn't feel so much like healing. This just feels like protecting, trying to stay positive of heart as much as we possibly can. So if we look at these, really it's 2 cards, but it's come out in the space of 3. In some ways, the Sun's influence is mainly in this card. That is mainly the sort of the optimistic side of things, and looking up in the same way the lion is looking up here. So what we have is the 6 of Cups. Retrogrades, retrogrades, retrogrades. Looking back, reminiscing, regretting. All useless, really, but very much the way we're likely to feel today. We have a card here. I must admit, this lion in this card doesn't look terribly happy. He looks like he needs actually comfort from the woman. We have strength. We need to try to stay strong. We need to try to stay lion-hearted and powerful. And we need to protect our heart chakra energy today as much as we possibly can. Again, you know, a hug wouldn't hurt. For those of us who can get them, a hug really wouldn't hurt. Optimism. Again, we have the lion card. Again, we have the strength aspect. This time combined with the sun. So trying to stay optimistic, trying to stay light of heart as much as possible. And also the lion is looking, he's starting to turn, he's starting to look upwards. So it's almost as if he's trying hard to really look at the positives today. So I hope you've enjoyed this reading. It's a little bit of a morbid reading in some ways, I suppose, but it's very difficult to be light of heart all of the time. In fact, it's near impossible. So, you know, we have to kind of take the rough with the smooth as well. Please also feel free to leave me some comments and let me know how these themes interact with your day today. And, you know, how you're able to deal with this place that we find ourselves in, which I have to say to me feels quite uncomfortable. Please also feel free to check out my website, www.theseerscave.webs.com, for more information about myself, my tools, and the readings that I offer. I want to wish everyone a really happy, blessed, strong, and optimistic day, as much as is humanly possible. Please try not to let the grind get you down too much. And I want to wish love, light, blessings, and frith to you all.